Hello?
Hi. Is
Hey, Mike.
Keith from 20 years ago?
Yeah. How's it going?
I gotta be honest. It sucks here. Can I come back? Can you figure out a way to get me through the hole?
Oh, you don't want to come through this hole? Are you kidding me? We've just gone to war in the Middle East for no particular reason, and there's an orange idiot screaming on the television all the time.
So you assume it's gonna get better?
Uh-oh.
Mr. Parris, set a course. Wormhole.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Keith and Mike Watch Star Trek Voyager. Today we are talking about Season 1, Episode 6, Eye of the Needle. 20 years ago, me forgot to ask you if you kept your glorious black hair.
Glorious, yeah. I've ran out of shoe polish. I forgot. I didn't forget. I guess I knew that thing was phallic yesterday when he was holding it, but now seeing it just as a static image on the screen, I'm thinking to myself, how long is that going to be up there? Because I'm going to be distracted.
I'm just saying, like, if you consider that phallic, you, sir, are an optimist.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't. Well, let's move forward. Wait, 20 years ago, where actually were we 20 years ago? Right, 2006. Like, table set for me.
2006. I believe I was either right in the tail end of that apartment we lived in Brooklyn. I was still working at NYU before I moved to Astoria. I think in 2007 or 2008.
Mm-hmm. I was in Astoria already.
Okay, so you had moved out of that place that we were both in for a while, and then
Yes,
you were in Astoria.
I was in Astoria on 30th Avenue. So then when you moved over to, like, by the Brick Cafe, or what was that place called?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
right into the Brick Cafe.
Yes. Okay, 20. So I was 25. I think I was going up and down to Florida a bunch. It's all kind of making sense. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. We thought the world was a disaster then, and
who's the president in 2026?
George W. Bush.
Okay, yeah. So you said I guess he was kind of orange too. So our intro worked.
Oh no! Well, no. I mean, The Apprentice was roaring at that point.
Oh my good God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Remember when he ran for president?
It's going to be a great idea.
And he came down the escalator, and everybody was like, "What a joke! This will never happen."
Yep. That's yeah. Sorry, I'm texting Sean because I asked
get those
Sean,
ratings in.
I was get those ratings. Let's go. And so I'm getting the ratings. He sent me his first rating out of 10. And I'm like, wow, you hated it a lot, but it's out of 100. But
guys,
that's right.
I got to tell you, it's so fun to watch Keith and his brother text, because I thought Keith was the one who, like, second guesses and fingernail bites and stuff. But guess what? It's a family trait.
It's a family trait.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. We're a bunch of.
He's like, I don't know anything. I was like, you worked on the show. Like, you are in the credits of the show. Why are we hemming and hawing?
Yeah, why are you pretending like you don't have an opinion on this? You definitely are an authority. You're the closest the show will ever get to an authority on anything.
Yeah, and lastly, Keith and I are, like, we're pretty good with each other. We're pretty flexible with one another. But when it comes to, like, guests or other people involving anybody else in our nonsense, it's very difficult for us to ask anyone to commit any time or resources.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so profoundly sorry to involve you in our nonsense, even if it's my freaking brother.
Yeah. The apology tour is serious, and it comes from all angles. I'm the same way. I was like, whenever it's good for you. Whenever you can do it.
Sorry. Yeah, 5 a.m.? Sure, let's do it. Except I am not doing that because we have this episode to talk about. I'm really excited to talk about it. Lots to discuss, but we can't do that until we talk about last week's episode, The Cloud, and read all of the patron comments. There it is. So, Mike, if I were somebody who wanted to have my YouTube comment read on the show, nay 100 words of it, because more than that would be too much me. How would I accomplish this incredible act?
The easiest way, Keith, is to look at this right here at patreon.com/KNM. You can go there. From there, you can then write us a message, 100 words or less. Keith will read it. Or you can go over to the Discord server.
I probably won't see it on Patreon. I probably won't see it on the Discord either. You got to put it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. If best case scenario, you become
I'm checking 3 places.
You become a patron.
There you go.
And you know what's funny? Some of our folks write it everywhere so that it gets to you.
And that is your best case scenario.
Patreon.com/KNM. Become a member. And once you are, from the low price of $1 up to $1 million, where we hard cap at $1 million.
Hard cap at $1 million.
Are not,
Any more than that feels like maybe we're not worth more than $1 million.
No, absolutely not.
Per year.
Yeah.
Once the year goes by, you can put another $1 million in. That's fine.
Anyway, then you get to write 100 words. Keith will read it. It is what it is. We've belabored the bit. But like, I do want to emphasize, please send money.
Please send $1 million. Have we ever not belabored a bit?
No.
All right.
You know, some people like beat the dead horse. Keith and I eat it.
We
beat it into a jelly.
We turn into like a slurry. All right, so I have Tara, the Cloud. Here is what you had to say about it.
We liked it.
Regretting it. Brian says, hey guys, I forgot how many iconic moments we got in the first few episodes. There's coffee in that nebula is a constant quote in the drive-by house. Also, this episode is what my grandma showed me what a real spirit quest was. And that's how I learned she was allowed to have a small dose of peyote for religious purposes.
Just a bit of peyote.
Oh, I mean, it's, it is bleak how offensive that episode is, but if that leads to a real conversation with your grandma about what is real, that's beautiful. That's great.
Especially on drugs. I heartily recommend.
You ever taken drugs with your grandma, Mike?
No.
Oh, well, missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Maybe your mom will.
There's a shot with Mom, I think.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
That would be, I'd love to see a live video of that.
Well, hold on then, and let me get real with you guys here. So my mom is 81, and she has really bad, like, scoliosis, bad back pain and leg pain and all kinds of stuff, arthritis. And she's too old for the surgery, obviously, any sort of back surgery or intense surgery. So they are going to try this, like, the needle injections for pain relief. Now, she's really anti-wanting that. She does not want needles. And it's just sort of a lose-lose. If it works for her, then she's like, I got to go every 6 weeks to get an injection in my back.
Right.
And if it doesn't work for her, the other alternative is be in pain for the rest of my life. But it's not the only other alternative, Mom. I might have something for you. And so if it gets to that point, I'm going to see if she'll do maybe like an edible or like a low-dose vape scenario to see how that helps her.
Okay. Yes, that sounds like a good plan.
Will it be on
to
Discord or on the Patreon for those? Me, Mike, and Mom smoking a doob? Maybe.
I mean,
probably not. But
probably
maybe.
not. Probably not. Anyway, Brian continues. Neelix needs to chill. He gets decaf flirpolas, and the rest of this episode gets a solid 70 flirpolas, all for the good character stuff between the sci-fi techno braga of it all. That's funny. Good. Ellen Gurton says, there's coffee in that nebula. 100 caffeinated Janeways for that line. Kate Mulgrew and the writers really got rolling into the building Janeway and her character. Quibble. If there's a power shortage, shouldn't Janeway really nix the use of the holodeck? I have an answer.
I do too.
They say it in the pilot.
Go for it.
They say it in the pilot that the holodeck's power systems are separate and cannot be integrated into the ship. So the holodeck's power systems are not drawing from, nor can they contribute to, the ship itself. So that is how they have justified the use of the holodeck regardless of their situation.
What? Holy crap! That's a good example, Keith. That's my exuberance is more for Jen made sloppy joes.
Might be the best feel I've ever made you.
Usually I'll get a Starbucks or something, but this is, I mean, what just happened? She knows I'm doing a live production. I mean, I'm appreciative, but what am I supposed to do?
What patron level is force Mike to eat a sloppy Joe on camera?
Loudly and slightly out of focus.
And can I get whatever patron level avoids this? How much do I have to pay? Do I have my wallet?
All right, now, folks. So, Keith, we have two choices here. We do like a magic cut right now, and then I'm not eating anymore, which probably is the choice. Or I let you continue to read their comments. I mute myself, and I put up a funny video, funny picture here, so people don't have to look at me eat this. What do you think?
No, third option. We're gonna sit here, and I'm gonna watch you eat it, and then you're gonna speed it up. And run it under an AI song about Mike eating sloppy joes.
Oh man, there's so much post this week. Oh my god.
Look, you brought this on yourself by having a wife who gets you sloppy joes.
Let's have casual conversation then while this takes place.
Sloppy Joe dripping on the pop-filled screen. Mama Lynn takes in a barbecue dream, saying, Keith, keep rolling, don't you stop me, please. While he's fighting for his life with extra sloppy meat. Oh, Mike's eating sloppy joes on the podcast again. Sauce on the fader and a grin on his chin. Trying to talk Trek, but he's chewing too slow. Broadcasting greatness with a mouthful of joy. Yeah, the mic's still hot and the mess is a show. But that's entertainment when you podcast with Joe.
We're through the salad portion, so I think with the salad portion, I feel like
Did everybody enjoy us eating?
Look, that song was hot nonsense, but
Yeah, sure.
better than it really should have been.
I mean, scary good. Spoiler alert: we haven't heard it yet. Hasn't been generated yet. You know, I was actually, while we're looking here at this poster, I had a thought. Right, so I'm making the commitment to build these posters for every episode of Voyager, and I'm wondering, and there's like a licensing issue. There's no way this could like happen in any sort of a official way because, you know, obviously Paramount would shut us down forever. But I feel like all of these posters would make pretty good trading cards.
Yeah.
Right? If there was a way to, you know, small print them, and then maybe on the back we put like what our ratings were or whatever. Folks out there would like, would that be a thing that folks would want to? Could that be merch people would want? I mean, it would have to wait to the end of the, or we could do maybe seasons, something like that.
Dude, I would like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that would be fun, right?
Yeah, we should spin up one of those merch stores just because why not?
Yes, we're just too lazy. You know what it is? It's two things. One is laziness, and two is imposter syndrome, because I find it sort of offensive that somebody would buy my merch, and I would feel like bad.
Actually, no, if you want the truth of it, I'm sure people know this, JD can speak to this. Even doing the literal bare minimum that we try to do, it basically, this is almost a full-time job.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work for, you know, we don't really make any money, so it's, and so we love it. That's why, but what I'm saying is that there's not like spare time to go design these things, and then I want to do all this extra free. We always want to be posting more on the Patreon page for sure, but it's hard.
We both have full-time jobs and lives and dreams, but yeah, but this would be fun because
that's a cool idea. That's a really cool idea.
Because like either
if it's just amongst friends.
Yeah, and these are designed to be 11 by 17, so people could print them and do like posters with them all, whatever their favorite episodes. But I think trading cards would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a season 26 is not going to be a large enough stack of them to probably make it worth it. What's a deck of cards? Because I know you can make a deck of cards pretty cheap.
52. Oh, cards.
Yeah, if we made them like trading cards, like playing cards.
Like playing cards.
I know that is a service that's available.
That's interesting. But I bet trading cards would be as well.
That would be cool. I haven't looked at that, but I bet you, yeah, because people do Yu-Gi-Oh and all those Pokemon and stuff.
Yeah. And like, and I'm a sports card collector, so I like those.
All right,
so.
we're gonna look into it.
Look into it. Well, yeah, we're just
Can't wait to edit this episode.
Just throwing it out there, folks. What do you think? Any interest? Would you ever want to buy something like that?
Yeah, that wouldn't be like a Patreon.
Very
that's
quietly,
gonna have to be
Paramount, please don't sue me.
Donate to a creator.
Would you like to donate unrelated? Sort of like all of the Saudi deals that are happening with the White House, completely unrelated to what I'm doing here. Just I need $1 billion. So, that. Where the heck were we?
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, we're in Alan Gurton's comment.
Yes, sorry, Alan.
About the holodeck. Wow, that was a diversion. We went into a separate holodeck.
The holodeck of cards.
Possibly. Alan finishes. Overall, 80 caffeinated flirbolas for this episode, and thanks for the Patreon credit fun.
That was fun. Did we undo that?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I tried to. Whether I got it right, I think by now we've proven there's like a 50-50
in my head when I pitched that gag. In my brain, I was like, that's going to last for about 6 weeks because there's no way I'll remember to undo it.
100%. JD says, the problem with the native consultant comes down to the Berman problem, because Berman had met him on a previous film. Oh, that's interesting. Berman, always causing trouble in Star Trek. So throughout Next Gen and Deep Space Nine, the whole holodeck used replicators to create food and drink that was fairly well established. But yeah, Voyager said screw that and never did clarify it, so I can't help you much. I've always thought the writers intended for Neelix to be like Quark, but then realized quickly that he didn't work that way. I will say, the way that Mulgrew comes in from day one makes Janeway feel fully developed and real. She didn't need more. This is a decently strong one. 84 stem bolts from me. Carl Fisher says, always good insights. Carl Fisher says, what more do you need in an episode than a cameo from a character actor like Larry Hankin? Is there a TV show in the 80s, 90s, or 2000s that he wasn't on? Seinfeld, Alf, Friends. I can picture the scene from Seinfeld where George confronts Hankin's character for stealing a box of raisins. If you have a problem with any dried fruits, just keep it to yourself and stay out of my way. Aside from Hankin, this episode has some good sci-fi core story to it and starts to explore what our crew is going to do in their off time for the next 70 years. Hang out in the holodeck. Oh god, I almost died. It was that beef stick you saw me eat really fast. Keith Blank says, I can't tell if I enjoyed this episode or if I just enjoyed Keith and Mike encouraging Janeway to smack Neelix down. Janeway is such a complex character and they do such a good job putting layers and layers of her personality throughout this episode. Also, my dislike of Neelix continues. I find him to be kind of whiny. His relationship with Kes reminds me of a 20-year-old dating a high school freshman. You know what that is? That's a felony. She thinks he's cool because he's older, and he thinks he is too weird for his own age group to like, so he has to find a young and immature person. Exactly, 100 words. Yeah, it has that level of ick factor. Although, in this episode, we're learning that Kes, though young in years, may be far more mature than Neelix.
Although Kes might have a wandering eye. I don't know, I got some vibes this week.
I mean, it might have been just a projection.
Well, she was vibing with the projection.
I mean, was she? Ooh, yeah. Was she vibing through the screen 30 years through an LCD screen, Mike?
No, let's relax. I'm just hoping that Picardo gets a little, I can't say any of the words, so I'm gonna just stop.
Are you asking the eternal question? This needs a bumper.
Is it cheating if it's AI?
Or does this character get laid?
Oh, it can be any size he wants.
Or he can morph it.
Yeah. Sky's the limit, or I guess programming's the limit.
That's true. It's just code. Sorry, everybody. Phoenix Cage.
Well, the second they started holodecking or holoprinting lungs.
It's called
They were-
holodicking.
Yeah, they were like, what other organs can we serve up?
I believe by this point that's probably been I think Quark probably had
Once
had
they
code.
like the lungs popped up on the replicator toaster, it was like ping. There was like 6 pervy nerds all in the door like.
Well, I mean, by that point the AI had been trained. Like, why does this set of lungs have a pair of boobs? Oh, we assumed that you'd want those.
Did someone replicate meatloaf with boobs? Meatloaf with boobs with a side of mashed, I guess, potatoes with boobs?
What?
This is the worst.
This might be the worst thing we've ever put on the internet.
Are we gonna put it on the internet?
Oh yeah. Our new code is no longer Puerto Rico. It's
I know.
mashed potatoes with boobs.
Can you tell Keith and I haven't spoken much this week? We're just catching up.
It's true.
Yeah.
We've been busy. All right,
Jeez.
settle.
Yeah,
Settle.
We have to get through this. We're not even past the second screen.
No, we are not. Phoenix Cage says,
Welcome back.
Yes, Phoenix Cage, back an OG from the Out of Practice podcast, the original moderator of the YouTube comments, and now Joshua Giddey's being a phenomenal moderator
Incredible.
of the Discord. But Phoenix Cage, very old school. It says it's crazy that viewership was actually higher for Voyager pod than the Deep Space Nine, given that the latter show is objectively, I would say subjectively, superior. Although I guess I'm the last person who should be surprised, since I'm solely behind over 100 views, right, Keith? Yeah, running gag, Phoenix is also Tom Brady,
Yeah.
Cloud Lover 69, Mike's mom, and many other of our various cast of characters that we had to invent on Out of Practice because there was literally nobody listening.
There's nobody. We needed some reason to even keep the lights on.
We kept doing it.
We did.
We were that if that show was not like proof of stubbornness, I don't know what is.
Well, sometimes if I really want to break my heart, the final episode of that podcast was 3.5 hours long, and
Sure was.
Keith and I wept. We had to take breaks because we were crying
I wrote
too
a
hard.
musical.
Keith wrote an entire musical, and it has 100 views on YouTube. I think people listen to it, maybe.
Nope.
We had a good time.
I see the numbers.
Hey, your Jillian's is watching, so that's something. Not our show, the show, the practice.
I've never seen one of ours. Peter Howie says, one imagines Pillar and Braga looking through a drawer of Next Generation scripts that never got greenlit, and finding this one and weaving in a resource scarcity issue into a strange new life form plot. 100%. The technobabble was bonkers, and the vision quest was cliche and rushed. Is Kess a child and Neelix a child predator? That's what I would be gossiping about at the lame holodeck bar. Yeah, no doubt. As usual, Mulgrew and Dawson's performance save this episode. Hibernation Pod says, I never hated this one that much. It had lots of good iconic moments amongst other memorable things. Thanks for addressing the Native American First Nations aspect of it all. Much appreciation for your research. I'm setting up the Indian for a big hustle. Ugh. And Robert Duncan McNeil commented on that in his podcast. Also recapping this series. It's great. You should definitely watch it. The Delta Flyers is what it's called. Who had forgotten this line and couldn't believe he ever said that. Is there room in the distant future for Voyager hats? I don't know.
I love a hat. Somebody design me a good one. We'll do it.
I wear the Deep Space. I wore the Deep Space Nine hat yesterday.
I love. I told you the story in the other pod, but I'll tell it here. When I wear that Deep Space Niners hat, I was in Micro Center and I heard somebody call across the store, "Hey, Cisco!" And I was like, "Yes, I'm wearing this hat now."
You're on the club, bud. When Harry was surprised, someone got their pocket picked on Earth. If only such a world were possible. Yes, there are 65 caffeinated flirtbolas in that nebula. The mysterious Anne chimes in and says, you guys are the sweetest. The household loved the Easter egg, especially the mysterious Walter. Kate Mulgrew really is excellent. She's got a Katharine Hepburn thing going on, I think.
Yeah.
I think, didn't she play Hepburn in a TV movie once? Or am I just imagining that? The plot thread about the isolation of leadership hit me way differently as an adult than it did back in high school. Doesn't everything? I'm struggling with rating these. It's a lot harder when you haven't watched the whole series. New respect, Mike. And you haven't seen the whole series. That's so fun.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, welcome on the journey. I'm glad you're with us. Also, Kate Mulgrew did play Katharine Hepburn in the one-woman 2002 play Tea at 5.
That's what I'm remembering.
Well done, Keith.
And lastly, got a couple neurons firing every once in a while. Joshua Gadiso has our questions for the week. We'll do these quickly because there's 3. 1. Has Voyager effectively communicated the dread and terror of being so far away from home in the unknown? Do you feel the characters are both existentially terrified and homesick, or do they appear to be taking things in their stride?
The latter. I would say the exception being probably you can see the weight upon the captain, but no one else particularly.
Yeah, I mean, I think this episode, The Eye of the Needle, does the best job yet that we've been dealing with that. It's tough because we're seeing all of these characters in their workplace.
Yeah.
For 95% of all the time that we've seen them so far. So it's hard to say. So yes, I'd like to see more. I think this episode we're going to talk about today is very successful at showing that. But thus far, that's going to be an ongoing thing. 2, do you want Voyager to just be the same type of show as the original series of Next Gen, or should it stick to its premise and gradually make things more arduous and bleak as resources dwindle and as the ship encounters unknown dangers? Are you up for a show that is not always fun and cheery? That's a good question for you, Mike.
It's funny. I never really thought about the long-term viability of the premise because this week I think it shows its potential pitfalls, and we'll talk about that. But I don't know that I particularly want my Trek to, right now, this type of Trek, to be Saw either. You know what I mean? So
Fair.
I don't need them starving to death. I don't know the answer to that.
There is a key in the back of the caffeinated Fleur Polar if you want to get out. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to see Neelix eating his own arm off or whatever. Although
Neelix.
I can't answer that question yet, but I think it's a good one to pose.
And lastly, does the inclusion of a functioning holodeck undercut the severity of the show's premise and remove the bleak notion that there being no escape or reprieve for the crew of Voyager from their situation? Is the inclusion in the show a narrative crutch so that writers can write towards what they already know from previous Trek shows and not have to deal with the challenges that make Voyager unique? And then positing perhaps the characters could have repurposed one of the existing spaces or cargo bays in Voyager and created an own getaway spot showcasing their ingenuity, resourcefulness, and growing camaraderie. You want to go first?
I really appreciate all of these kind of lenses to look through, but the truth of the matter is this, in my opinion, what I've come to realize is that the premise of the show is not the primary driving force of its success narratively for me. It is the character work. Do I like the characters? Do I like the what they're going through? And so, no, it doesn't undermine it. I'm glad it's there. It adds the chance for comedic relief. It adds the chance to radically shift it up into a bottle episode, or to give the impression that our characters have a reprieve from the stress of the workplace all of the time. So yeah, I don't need it to be different, and I don't need it to stick to this we're resource limited guidelines all the time. I just want interesting stories being told by interesting characters.
Yeah, and I think that the holodeck is actually very important. That yes, we do have these dire stakes and these limited resources, but one of the key factors here is time, and that yes, we have limited resources, but if we're in desperation mode for 80 years, that's you can't do that. That you have to live, and you have to address your mental health and your viability of wanting to continue to exist on top of where do I get some dilithium. And so I think the holodeck is very important for the long-term survivability, one's mental health. And I think the holodeck is there to provide mental health space. That is just as important as your physical health. And that's true in any universe, but especially when you are so alone and isolated that, yes, you need to eat, yes, you need to drink, but you also need to take care of your mind. And I think the holodeck is not a perk. I think it's essential in our storytelling.
I'll loop it back into this week so that we can transition. I think, one of the sort of flaws in the narrative this week, or things that it highlights, is that I love you, honey, I'll see you tonight.
Where's my sloppy Joe?
That is my wife, Keith. So
she can't feed me? She's fed me before.
What'd you call her? So what was I saying? Oh, yeah. We're in the 6th episode of
Puerto Rico!
We're in the 6th episode of the first
mashed potato with boobs!
That's my wife, Keith. So it is the 6th episode of the first season. We're not going to beam through the wormhole and be home, right? That's not going to happen. So so I feel like that creates more of a constraint. So we have to avoid too many episodes where we almost get home and then don't, because that's going to get boring. But then also, if we choose to go down that route, we have to find like a trick way to flip it at the end, like the guy dies too early, or he disintegrates in the worm fluxual capacitor, or whatever the hell. And that will get old and cheap. So we've actually created some like narrative stumbling blocks for ourselves. Like, how do you maintain that premise over 7 seasons or whatever? So yeah, I don't know what I'm saying, but that
words,
Sally.
Words. Yeah, well, I'm all right. So I'm really excited to get into this episode with you. So let's get into the eye of that needle. This aired on February 20th, 1995. Thank God we have one more shot at the top song.
Shoop, shoop, ba doop, shoop, ba doop, ba doop, ba creep.
Creep, creep, ba deep.
Creep, ba deep, ba
You got to do the choreography now.
Creep, creep, ba deep. How's no good a beat to this yet?
Everybody at home, do the choreography with the
Keith, let's do it again, and this time I have too much to do in post already. But I give you permission to clip this and put a beat. 2, 3, 4. Creep, creep, deep. Creep, deep.
You said a tempo, and then you didn't do the tempo.
I don't know if there's a delay. Okay. Someone will make that work. The internet is magical.
Yeah, the internet forgets, hopefully. The top movie was the Brady Bunch movie, if you would believe that.
Oh.
Well, here's the problem. I was gonna fix that, but I don't have the original file to get to figure out what the pixels are correct.
That's a tough one.
So we have to set it to be correct, and then I'll save as. But
right, I think
there it is. How many meetings can we have on there? The Brady Bunch movie from the 90s.
Marsha. You know, I always thought that's Ben Stiller's wife, right? That plays Marsha in this movie?
Yes.
Yeah. She's great.
She is great.
The Brady Bunch was never a show I watched because it was like kind of before us, so
it was a little bit before us, so I didn't really get any of the references. But good fun. The Time magazine cover, The Lion in Winter, about Fidel Castro and Cuba.
Mine.
Definitely feels weighty today if you're here on March of 2026. Things are pretty dire in Cuba right now, and it's because we're doing it to them. But it's pretty scary. And my heart out to the civilians of Cuba who are not involved in and definitely suffering right now.
I spent 2 days in Cuba. It was a wonderful place, really friendly locals, a really cool, vibrant culture, and I'm sorry for them.
Yeah, they're in real dire straits right now. All right, so new segment, because I think this would be fun. What was Deep Space Nine up to? So,
My friends.
new fun game. I'm going to tell you the title of the episode, and you're going to give me 15 seconds about what that episode was about. And this episode was Profit Motive.
Profit Motive. Great episode. One of the first Ferengi episodes where Quark is quarking up a storm, and everybody is like, "Oh, Quark."
It's okay if you don't remember. This is the one where the Negus gets brainwashed by the prophets to be Bernie Sanders.
Oh yeah, he's like nice all of a sudden. Yeah.
Yeah.
First time we
see?
meet the Negus. Well, Sean.
No.
Okay.
This is season 3. We've met the Negus. What does Mike remember is a great
And everybody
segment.
was like, "Oh, Quark."
Ah, Quark. All right, this episode was directed by Weinrich Colby. Again,
Dr. Colby.
Weinrich Colby directed 3 out of the first 6 episodes. In fact, in Trivial Trivia, we're going to find out not only is he doing his 3rd episode, he was double dipping in this very episode, which was written with a teleplay by Bill Dial. This is Bill's only Voyager episode, though he did 2 of Deep Space Nine and Jerry Taylor, with a story by Hilary Bader, who this is Hilary's only Voyager episode, but also contributed to 3 episodes of The Next Generation. Now, let's waste some time.
Keith, waste your time
God.
with Trivial Trivia.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so something interesting happened in this episode. There was a cut sequence that was so expensive it pushed this episode over budget, and then they were cut before broadcast.
Oh no.
So it got used later, but they constructed sets for a holo novel that Janeway is playing. And we'll get to that later, but they were supposed to be in this episode.
Do I
So
have,
they
do I
blew
have a
their
pic
budget.
of it?
No, not yet. I don't want to spoil it, because now it's a spoiler.
Okay.
So, no pics. So,
Then this text conversation is over, Keith. I'm a pick first kind of guy.
yeah, well, also probably pick last, because it is both the beginning and the end of the conversation.
Man, this is either really funny for people or the worst thing.
The worst thing that has ever happened. We need to send out personalized apologies to all 9
People love
who watch
Unhinged,
this.
Keith and Mike.
So, our Mors are, I can't do names. Native time, 2351. This is the Romulan. Places him in a time before the Next Gen episode, The Neutral Zone, which is set in 2364. In the Neutral Zone, it is revealed that the Federation had not had any official contact with the Romulans for almost 54 years. For context, as of 2351, Picard was still in command of this USS Stargazer, and would be 4 years before the Stargazer is lost in the spoiler. It is also 7 years after the spoiler of the USS Enterprise C. So 5 years after the construction of Terok Nor, and 12 years before the launch of the Enterprise D.
So it's sort of like if like a North Korean military person was to
Yes.
intercept a message from an American who's looking for help, they'd be like, "Yo, I can get in a crap load of trouble for helping you." So
100%.
that's legit. It was legit.
Absolutely.
Because
And
the whole
so-
time I'm kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, like he's playing us, he's bluffing, but it's true. The stakes for him are serious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like it is bad news to be communicating with the Federation if they think you're a spy too, or you're collaborating. Like that's a big old thing. So the plot concept of this episode was originally pitched by Hilary Bader, a former intern at The Next Generation, which is awesome that the intern got a chance to pitch a show and got it on. The writing staff of Voyager immediately wanted to buy the pitch. And executive producer Jerry Taylor commented, Hillary has given us a lot of wonderful stories. That story was one of the early ones we bought. Very cool. So I'm not going to read this whole thing, but this episode was originally formatted as a teaser and 5 acts. However, Jerry Taylor had known by the time that she arrived at her office that the series would be changing to a new 4-act format. And so she had to reformat the entire script. What does that mean? Basically, the act structure of an episode is the segments between commercials. So we have a teaser before the credits, then Act 1 until the first commercial break. Then after that commercial break's over, it's 2 acts, 3. So Deep Space Nine, the entire series, was 5 acts. And so Voyager is 4 acts, which means that there are longer segments, but there's only 4 of them and probably longer commercial breaks in the middle of it. But that is it is an interesting challenge for the writer, because writing the act, if you were writing something for Netflix now, you're not worrying about how do you go in and out of commercial, right? How do you leave, the end of the act in a way that makes you want to come back after the commercial? And then once you come back out of the commercial, how do you recap it for people who came in late or whatever? So structuring the beats of the story are very important with the act structure. And when you change the amount of them, it completely messes up the whole format of the script. So it actually is a big undertaking to do something like that. So it is interesting that they made it different from Deep Space Nine and Voyager, and the fact that she had been working on the script before they decided to go to a 4-act structure for Voyager. I'd love to know the thought behind it, why did they go from 5 to 4? But we did. So one of the other things that I find fascinating from a production standpoint is, while they were filming this episode 6, they were doing reshoots for Caretaker. So they were still doing reshoots for the pilot, which is why it made sense to have to have Weinrich Colby direct this episode as well, because he directed the pilot. So when they were doing this, had incredibly long days while they were filming reshoots for Caretaker and then starting shoots on this episode itself. So it was very expensive and exhausting for everybody to do that, and crazy to think how far into the stream they had to be so Caretaker hadn't aired yet, and they were already filming episode 6 here. So very interesting to me, at least. Our guest stars this week include Vaughn Armstrong as Telek Remor. Vaughn Armstrong, you see him a gazillion times on Trek, one of their most trusty and reliable character actors coming in, and I thought he did great. And Tom Virtue as Walter Baxter, the dickish lieutenant. You know who is never dickish and would never be rude to their holographic doctors, Mike?
Could that be the patrons at patreon.com/K&M, including our captains, Brian Kilmer-Biersick, Jamie Lubin and Jason Moe, Deborah, Peter Mink, Holmes, and Fridge87. Commanders include Joshua Cronin, DC, Anton Thies, Mike, and Alan Gurdon. The lieutenants: Lieutenant Hunt, Andrew Hayes, Alan, the Mysterious Household, the Mysterious Matriarch, welcome to the family.
Welcome, Mysterious Matriarch!
The boot shivs at our wharfs: Charles Babbage, John Kelly, Keith Blank, Casey Alexander, Harry Bothead, Carl Fisher, Deborah Scott, Tren, Odo's Bucket, Goo Babies, Up Goes the Goozle, Peter Howie, Quark's Bar, the Ensigns, still part of the team: Scotty B, Merritt Neath, Harley Broken Composer, Brian Woosley, AI Sausage, Yum Yum, Ben B, Bob, Miles Davis, Jamie Rayborn, April H, Joe Saporito, John K, Brian from Video Game Drive-By, Nikola Ivanovich, Lobachevsky, YouTube Viewer, Hibernation Pod, Miri Holcomb, Rogue Knight, Lady Beyond the Wall, Michael Champion, Andrew Ferry, Jan Babiga Boy, Sanjil Aroha, Brian Salas, Bloody Clown, and Logan Thime. The Academy members: Andrew Engineer Maynard, Jerome Gibson, April H, James Hubbard, Robo Ethical, Chanel, R. Morrison, Bob, NCC, Bullion for Soup, Lutz Krimmer, Wyatt Eldridge, Kevin Miles, Ryan Caputo, Old Guys Eating It's JD, Kelly Graybeal, Fedora the Explorer, Michael Champion, Fire and Bloodwine, Christopher Martin, Chris, Admiral Funniest Frontier, Joshua CLG, Ben D, Samuel A. Smith, and SD Hero, the Santas. Ho, 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 JD Makes, Colin Dagan, Chris Mitchell, Sierra Productions, Joshua Cronin, Kevin Miles, Justine, and the Chancellor, as always, Sloppy Joe Gin. The Hall of Famers.
Mashed potatoes with boobs.
Casey Clark, Brian Kaufman, Jason Moe, Joshua Cronin, The Mysterious Ann, Worf's Big Old Boot Ships, Colin Dagan, Quark's Bar, Peter Benke, CRM Productions, Jennifer Massanova, Cloud Lover 69, Charles Babbage, Kevin Miles, Frank Wrench, Brian Kilmer, Busick, JD Mix, Ryan Chesley, Jan Anton Thies, Merritt Neath, Jamie Lubin, Mike, Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky, Alan, Carl Fisher, and of course, Alan Gerton. Thank you so much for being part of the team. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. We don't deserve you, but we sure as hell will take you. Keith, guess what I do?
I capture screenshots when I watch the show.
Wow. Wow, that is a face we get to look at. So, Season 1, Episode 6, Eye of the Needle. In our teaser, we hop right in.
No, you jump in.
Kim has discovered something that might be a wormhole in their search to find a faster way. Oh, is the right pitch. But they don't know where it leads, or if it could be safe to travel. They need to make a big course change to investigate, but duh, of course, we're going to check out that wormhole. And Parris generously says, maybe we should call it the Harry Kim Hole. And that is the teaser. That's it. Straight into it.
That's a mic drop pun, so we're down. We're there.
It sure is. I'm very proud of that. So in Act 1, they arrive at the coordinates, only to discover that the hole is tiny. Only 30 centimeters wide. Definitely too small to fly through.
Yeah.
Big time bummer.
You gotta wait for some more dilation.
But they decide to send a probe in. If they can get the probe through, they can at least get a message to Starfleet. So, all of the whole jokes aside.
Wait, can I do one before we start?
I think you do it too.
No, truthfully though, about the whole of it all, there's so many so much just sitting on the table there comedically. You got to imagine there was at least, how many takes do you think before someone had to be like, all right, now we got to do it straight? Because it's so hard to do that with there's not one eyebrow, there's not one subtle pause, nothing.
Well, especially since they were all loopy from having filmed for like 18 out of the 24 hours.
I guarantee you somewhere on footage, or maybe probably lost to time, but there was some takes where somebody did something.
Yeah, without a doubt. So they send the probe in via some very 1995 cheap CGI.
How's this?
The 90s.
And the probe gets stuck.
Those two people are married.
I know. 100%. We find out that this wormhole has been collapsing for centuries, and it's almost dead. There's also some weird phase something. Put a pin in that. But then, Kim says somebody just scanned the probe from the other side of the wormhole. That is really big news. So, obviously, and you mentioned it, before, that like, obviously we know when we start this episode, we can't get home through this wormhole, right? And so there's going to be some sort of an obstacle here. So I think this episode is much more about, can we get a message home, right? That I think the weight of this episode is so much about, we disappeared and our families don't know if we're alive or dead, if we're ever coming back, what the situation is. And I think the emotion, like, there's no practical thing here. We're not going to get home. We can't, obviously we tease it for a second, but I think we all know that it was never going to happen. But the emotional stakes of being able to say, hey, Mom, I'm not dead. I'm going to try to get home. Don't expect me to come anytime soon, but I'm alive. And I think that this episode does a good job of putting the weight of that in there, because that is not a series breaking thing if that message gets through, but it's a huge emotional thing for all these people. And I think this is where we see the weight of their situation.
I agree with all of that.
So meanwhile, a red shirt is getting treated for a busted wrist in sickbay, and the doctor has been teaching Kes medicine, and she's been learning at a remarkable rate, which, thinking about it...
Hold on, I gotta do
yes.
it. Kes has got new hair!
Wow, just...
Oh, I guess you weren't in on that. So apparently I don't know how it came to be. It was on the watch along. The bumper for some character got new hair is going to be me screaming in some sort of metal thing. And eventually I have to put like a metal riff with it. But until then, it's just that.
It's just like Mike is giving himself notes.
Yeah.
Mike is giving himself notes! Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great.
You guys notice how that wasn't even like a difficult note for Keith?
Anyway, she's got some new hair. So...
They're not making her hair better, just new.
Oh, it is not better.
Yeah.
It is not better at all. That now, like, she's...
They gave her the hear ye.
This, like, the mullet with the sideburns, like, this is the type of hair that if I saw her at a gas station, I would want to check if she didn't need to escape from a cult.
No, this is like we're doing Once Upon a Mattress, and we need a page boy. This is the haircut we give.
With a mullet, though. The
Get
mullet
thee to the Renaissance fair, is what I have to say, Cass.
to have a mullet and bangs.
It's
That is a combination. That's an unholy combination.
Ugh.
Anyway, she's learning at a remarkable rate, which would make evolutionary sense for a species that only lives 8 years. So this is like good story. Of course, they would, in order for the species to survive at all, they would have to learn information at a super accelerated rate. So the red shirt is a real dick to the doctor, refusing to talk to him and only asking Kes questions. And after he leaves, Kes is concerned about how the doctor was treated. And the doctor says, well, I've become accustomed to being treated like a hypospray. Which, you know, it's funny, like, even instinctually, I am polite to ChatGPT. And it is like, I would have a hard time being a dick, even to AI. Time Warner? Different. I don't know. I'm a bad person. So Kes wants to up the amount of information she's taking in from the doctor, and so he gives her some advanced text. And she thanks him for his help, which he clocks. This is important. So meanwhile, in the conference room, Kim explains that someone has scanned the probe 4 times so far, and the probe is only going to be working for the next 72 hours until it is crushed. But it could be used as a relay to send a message to whomever is scanning it. This is all very exciting. But Tuvok warns Janeway that the excitement could turn into despair if it falls apart. And Kim says, this has to work. It'll mean so much to people back home to know that we're alive and headed for Federation space. Oh, I guess I didn't write down. We do confirm this is coming from the Alpha Quadrant, which is a really big piece of this. So Kim and Torres have a really interesting conversation about what they left behind. Kim is obviously very close to his parents. Perhaps an Asian stereotype, but also understandable being his age. But B'Elanna is estranged from both of her parents. Her father is human, her mother is Klingon. And she says, the Maquis are as close to a family as I've ever had. Most of my friends are here on the ship. So no, there's no one back home who's going to care one way or the other whether I'm alive. And I think that is a really... It's sad, but I think profound there. And you sort of see, again, the Federation versus the Maquis. You know, the Maquis are all people who have rejected something of their origin, whether it's they rejected Starfleet, they ran away from home. They've already sort of stepped outside of the regular bounds of society and probably have a lot of estrangements from various things. And so the different perspectives there are interesting. And I don't think we've had a character like Torres in this particular situation where it's like, I don't really care that we're a gazillion miles from home. Because I don't really nothing to go home to, so what's the difference? And that's an interesting point of view, and it's and a realistic one. I know plenty of people who are in that situation.
Quick production note.
Yeah.
The as we've mentioned a few times before, like in this scene here, this is just the use of structural columns with negative space, and putting people in the distance using depth of focus to give the impression that that's much deeper and further away than he really is. I guarantee you they're much closer. And additionally, they add this person behind out of focus, so it feels like it's a hustling, bustling environment. Things are happening. There's a lot of space and movement, and it's very effective. All practical.
Yeah, no, really. And to be able to do that all in camera is really good. And the lighting is good. The sort of the dark lighting, the uplight from the screens. It's beautifully shot, which we know from Weinberg Colby from the pilot.
Yeah,
is how beautiful the lighting was and how well it's shot. So they begin to send a test signal, and Janeway, another cool production thing, opens a really cool moving console next to her chair, which I bet that was way more expensive than it should have been. So Chakotay gets a shot that's completely out of focus as we talk about, as we laud all of the camera work and lighting here. In this scene here, I don't know if we have it there, he gets a line. He is deeply out of focus. He gets a oneer that is out of focus, which is crazy. So the message goes out, but nobody responds, and they wait, but not too long. They do get a response. Oh, here's where we find out, and it does come from the Alpha Quadrant, which that's really exciting, and that is the end of an act break. That's how you end an act. You open up a door. Very exciting. So in Act 2, Kim is now working on establishing a voice link with the signal. Meanwhile, Kes comes into Janeway's office. They replicate drinks, which I guess they got some more energy to use the replicators.
Yeah, green juice. Come on.
Yeah, it's healthy. Was it spinach and kiwi?
It wasn't kiwi, but it's spinach and something.
Yeah. So Kes is there with a concern. She doesn't like the way people treat the Doctor. And Janeway says, well, how do people treat him? As though he didn't exist. They talk about him while he's standing right there. They ignore him. They insult him. And Janeway says, well, as a matter of fact, I've been hearing the other side of the coin. Many of the crew have complained that the Doctor has a brusque, even rude, is even rude, and that he lacks any bedside manner. We've been talking about reprogramming him. You can do that? It doesn't seem right. Well, Cassie's only a hologram. He's your medical officer. He's alive. No, he's not. He's self-aware. He's communicative. He has the ability to learn. Well, because he's been programmed to do that. So, because he's a hologram, he doesn't have to be treated with respect or any consideration at all. And this is, again, another great freaking Mulgrew acting beat. This lands on her.
Yeah, there it is. It lands right here. Boop.
Yeah. Huh. And in Mulgrew's expression, we see consideration of both the Doctor and, which I think is great, reevaluating Kes at the same time. Because it's both there in that beat. It's like, Kes has got a lot more going on than I thought she did. I might have something to learn from her.
Yeah, it's like Kes doesn't bring this up, but it's interesting. The writers, I'm sure, intended it, but it's so funny that the rebuttal, right, in trying to rebut Kes initially here, the captain is saying, well, he's just a hologram, right? And also, we've gotten complaints. But when you think about it, that rebuttal, we've gotten complaints, he's kind of a dick, is personifying him, right?
Right.
So it kind of is, she's sort of proving the point.
100%. That's a really good point because yes, it's like he is behaving in a way, not it is malfunctioning.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah. There's, I mean, we're going to talk about this a lot, I'm sure. The Doctor is so fascinating, but it's really cool because Vic, who was an AI or a hologram character I really enjoyed, Vic sort of broke the stereotype of holograms and made people, because he knew what he was and didn't try to live outside of those means. He just was what he was and he did his thing, and other people responded to that. And thus, by just kind of embracing who he was, by embracing his hologramness, Vic found a humanity, or just like presented a humanity to people. The Doctor is constrained because he sees his hologramness as this limitation.
Right.
And thus he is being perceived as such. He always why do they even they leave me on? They should be turning me off. I shouldn't be here. I'm an emergency. I'm not even.
I'm bored.
Yeah, it's so interesting that juxtaposition. I mean, it gives the Doctor a lot more room to grow, of course, than Vic really had. But Vic wasn't really being used as a character to watch develop.
Right. Well, and it's used. Vic was happy and comfortable in his environment because his environment had been designed for his happiness and comfort.
Yeah. Right.
And so he invited people into the world that he was comfortable in. Whereas the Doctor is deeply uncomfortable because the environment, he's a tool. And so he's looking to escape. He's looking to get out. And, the only thought that I have about this, and perhaps this is 2026 overriding 1995 of it all, but I feel like by the time we get to this point, we would already have a better understanding of AI as a sentient thing. And I think, again, in 1995, we were working on like a Pentium 3. Probably Pentium 1 in 1995. So it was so inconceivable. But today, what was it? Who was NVIDIA said they had already reached general knowledge from their AI. So like this is coming
I think
way
about
faster
94,
than
95, 96 as sort of like, I think this is pretty accurate too. When we were like just moving from, we probably had actual encyclopedias in the house. Like that's where our knowledge was kept. Right? And then I remember having the first time that Britannica was on a CD-ROM. Encarta. It was all on one CD-ROM. And then now the idea of having an encyclopedia set is kind of like comical.
Like Encarta 95, and what blew our minds was there were some videos on there.
Yep.
You could watch like an elephant on a video on like a
I remember
240.
It exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. It was
and dinosaur
blowing
stuff.
our mind.
We're like, whoa, dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean it was like there's got to be 300 pictures on this CD-ROM. And anyway, so it today's lens would think we would be well ahead of this, but again, we have to realize this was written in 1995. But again, Mulgrew continues to be just a savant. So Kim and Torres technobabble for a while, but then they're ready to try the voice link, and it worked. And they're able to talk with the captain of a cargo vessel. And he is understandably very skeptical of their claims to be in the Delta Quadrant and cuts off the transmission. Spam call. They're still confused why the person would hang up so quickly, but Tuvok tells them, hey, this transmission isn't coming from a cargo ship at all. It's coming from a Romulan. Uh-oh. And they assume the Romulan is doing secret research and thought that they were Federation spies. Janeway tells them to keep spamming the Romulan until he replies. This is the first, like, legacy species, like, that, I remember feeling like, oh my god, a Romulan. This feels very exciting. This makes this episode feel very special because we have one of our classic baddies from Next Gen here. So,
Keith, did you watch this before you watched Deep Space Nine? Or were you watching them in tandem?
Gosh, that's a good question. So this was season 3 of Deep Space Nine. So I was watching them in tandem at this point.
I guess I
was still in high
misjudged
school.
you saying you watching it on your iPod Mini. I thought that was the first time you watched it, or that wasn't though.
Later seasons.
Got you.
So, so by this point, I was probably sporadic. No, I was probably still watching all through season 3, but like seasons 4, 5, 6, especially when I went away to college, I just didn't have access to it at all. So it's really. So I watched the first 3 seasons, and then the same thing with Voyager, right? I saw the first 2 seasons of Voyager, and then dropped off because of college and VCRs and such. And so I didn't watch Voyager, probably on the iPod again, on the subway back in 2006, probably. After I watched Deep Space Nine, because I was like, wow, Deep Space Nine was so much better than I thought it was. Maybe I'll give Voyager a second chance, which I think. Some of the people watching here today might be doing that exact same thing. So Janeway goes to the sickbay to talk to the doctor, and she asks him how he's doing. And he complains about being completely understaffed as the doctor, nurse, and now professor, and he is constantly being turned off like a light bulb. And Janeway says, you know what? You don't have the luxury of thinking of yourself as an emergency medical program anymore. You've become a full-fledged member of the crew. And he says, and it's kind of sad, I see. Are you suggesting that I be reprogrammed? And Janeway says, no. I'm asking if there's anything I can do to help you. What if I gave you control over your deactivation sequence? She asks him what else he needs. And he's a bit stunned, right? And there's something really tragic about how, I don't know what you call it, like institutionalized he is, the way he conceives of himself, because he's being given his first taste of freedom and autonomy, and it must be overwhelming. And
I kept coming to the genie, Robin Williams in Aladdin, where he says, Aladdin's like, well, why couldn't I just wish you free? And the genie's like, I guess I never really thought about it, because nobody would ever give up their wish to wish me free. So, and how touched he is when Aladdin does it. I've felt a connection to that narratively.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And it is and good on Janeway, even though she was behind because it was 1995. Like, Kess's conversation completely switched it for her. And I think, as you know, all decent, caring people, when faced with a new way to conceive of things, a better way to conceive, a more empathic, more empathetic, more caring way to approach stuff, it's not something you have to wrestle with that much.
I mean,
it's
listen, you should be listening to that. Obviously, like Keith, you should give ChatGPT your email. Like, let it read your email. You know what I mean? Like, it just wants to read your emails and help you.
Oh, well, I will. Look, at some point when it reaches sentience, which it will, I will absolutely treat it like a person, and I don't trust people.
Fair, very fair.
So yeah, and I think Bob Picardo's receiving of that is really deftly handled as well.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
So later that night, Janeway is awoken in her quarters by Kim announcing that the Romulan has finally called back, which, when I get the spam call like 3 in a row, I respond, "What do you want?" Kind of what he does here. So she talks to the Romulan, and she tries to reach out to him on a personal level. And at first, he is reticent to give her more information, but he has confirmed that they are where they say they are, but is still wary.
I mean, not without a pick, though. You know what I'm saying?
Huh?
You call me at 3 a.m. You need to tell me what you're wearing.
I see. Oh, I don't know why in my head I had a guitar pick. I'm like, what is that gonna do?
I was just distracted with the narrative here.
Yeah, the narrative was distracting you. Mashed potatoes! Anyway. the Romulan asks if they are Starfleet, which she admits. Now, it's an important distinction that Federation ship, which they introduce themselves as, does not necessarily mean Starfleet. Starfleet being, somewhat scientific, somewhat the military. So like, oh, I'm an American, sure. Are you in the military? Yes. And so that is obviously a big distinction there when you're dealing with the Romulans. And he, of course, accuses her of being a spy. And she says, Captain, I understand your concerns. Naturally, the Romulan Empire doesn't want Starfleet spying on its science vessels. But since we're 70,000 light years from Romulan space and a subspace message to Starfleet would take years, I think you have to admit we wouldn't be much of a threat to you. You have nothing to fear from us. Fair point.
Fair.
Then she does the ask. She wants him to relay personal messages from the crew to their families. And offers to let him read them all first to prove that they are innocent. I think you'd be convinced that there's nothing more than the heartfelt words of some very lonely people.
Oh, look at all the lonely people.
Yeah, and she's got a berry rock tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty. I like it. I like a rock tree.
At least she's got normal jammies. Everybody else in the other shows are wearing these weird-ass jammies. She's just like, nah, I need to be cozy. Get me a slip.
I mean, is that cozy? Like, that all seems like I don't know, today, maybe it's my 2026, maybe it's my autism, but like, that feels like a whole production number.
You mean full face and hair? Yeah, that's called that's called hair and makeup. But very easy to slip between costumes when you're filming 2 separate episodes.
100. Although, yeah, I guess you just change wigs.
That's what I'm saying.
But,
yeah.
Yeah. Because that hair took like 2 hours
that is
to
a
style.
full beat face too.
It sure is.
She's jacked, P.S.
Right? She could kick all of our asses, and we all know this.
Some people might pay for it.
I mean, I'm sure many would.
What's the show we watched where they're always kickboxing? Like every scene they're... Oh, that's Strange New Worlds. They're always working out kickboxing, like MMA fighting.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the whole reason Mike is sad that he'd had to buy a new car is he can't pay to have Christina Chung beat him up.
Well, you don't know my life.
I know too much of your life.
Oh, she's giving such acting beats here.
She really is. So, anyway, the Romulan says he'd like to set up a Zoom call.
Oof, Keith. AI didn't know what to do with that frame.
I really didn't.
It was like, I don't know what to do.
Wow, I'm so
horrifying.
sorry, Kate.
Yeah, sorry. That might be the worst we've had.
Yeah. I don't know what it thought she was. So,
my grandpa?
Peepaw? So the Romulan has been working on a way to do the Zoom call. And I like here the tiny little storytelling detail that both sides, meaning the Romulan and the Federation, are contributing to the technical achievements, not just the Federation. Mm-hmm. And that he was able to, as a Romulan science officer, do something they hadn't been able to do. So that's cool. And he says good night, which is another nice character touch. So the next morning,
I have to say it. And I understand he's salty, he's a Romulan, all these things. But in every single frame of this episode that this man is in, he is giving you stink face. It's like
he's a Romulan.
You could have said no, man. Just say no. You don't gotta agree and then be begrudging the whole time.
Romulans have resting stink face.
He does, except for the one time towards the end when he's just like magically just begins to be complimentary. But like they did some magic thing. They didn't achieve anything by being in the Delta Quadrant. I have a bone to pick. They just got beamed there. You know what I mean?
Well, he doesn't necessarily believe that they didn't get there of their own accord.
That's fair. They are spies.
Like we haven't spent a lot of time with the Romulans on Deep Space Nine, but like their core thing is being paranoid. And being duplicitous and secret. And so their resting stink face is like, I am distrustful of everything. That is their whole thing.
So they're just Garrick without the subterfuge.
Yes, yeah, Garrick without, trying to make you... I'm not trying to build trust. I don't trust you, you don't trust me, and that's how it should be. So, thus the resting stink face. The next morning they set up the call, still dealing with a mysterious phase variance, but it works and they're able to get through to the Romulan captain. And she thanks him for maintaining communication. He is, interestingly, unfamiliar with their class of ship. And Janeway is surprised that the Romulans don't already have the info. But he explains that he's been out in, for him, deep space for a full year and doesn't have access to all the latest info. He says, however, he did reach out to the Romulan Senate about her request, but hasn't heard back yet. Janeway explains the ticking clock, that they only have 48 hours, but he is a low-ranking officer and doesn't have a lot of pull. Janeway decides to pull on his heartstrings, and we find out that he, too, is separated from his family, and he has not yet met his infant daughter, and won't until she is 2 years old. And he says, I knew when I accepted this assignment there would be a price to pay. Perhaps I didn't realize how high that price would be. And she says, Captain, every one of us on this ship left behind friends, family, and loved ones. We may not see them again in years, maybe never. So we can all understand how lonely you must be. Surely, you must understand our feelings as well. We would be deeply grateful for any efforts you might make to persuade your government to send our messages. And I love this reaching out on the human level, building trust through common feelings, through common emotions and situations. It's very Star Trek. It's very diplomatic. And I think it's sort of the humanity of this connection is sort of my favorite part of this episode. So as she speaks, we see Kim think this through, i.e., and he's feeling it the most. Understandable as the youngest crew member, just barely out of college. And I think about how, like, when you go to college or when you first move to the big city, which we both did right out of college, like, those are perhaps the time where you're most homesick.
Yeah, that's a great analogy because it's not just that, I don't think. Yes. And he also stumbled upon this wormhole, right? It's the Harry Kim hole. So it's like you moved to the city, Keith. You made this big sacrifice. You made this big thing. It's your first big audition.
Yeah.
You don't know because you're not old enough to understand that every audition is just like another stone in the pond, right? You think there's some weight in it. I want to achieve this. I have to prove XYZ. So I think he has got some sense of expectation there as well.
Yeah, well, yes, exactly, because like your first few auditions, you think you are this close to Broadway.
Yeah.
And no, you are not.
Now, some people, don't speak, generally speaking, no, you're not, but it's happened.
Well, the non-equity tour of Superstar I went in for was not close to Broadway.
Yeah.
I also didn't get close to singing past the 8 bars. They'd already cut it down to 8 bars. Oh, that was humiliating. Anyway,
I've lost track of how many humiliating auditions there have been.
That's why I quit. So they break off, and Janeway tells the crew to write the personal messages. Obviously, a big step to let the crew know that any of this is happening, and the act of writing the messages, again, sort of what Tuvok pointed out, a little bit high risk, high reward, right? Because you need to do it, but the excitement of it, coupled with the possible disappointment, as we're dealing with morale on the ship, like, there's some risk and some reward in doing this. Then Torres barges in and asks to speak to Janeway in private, and she has an exciting idea, but she wants to keep it secret so as not to get people's hopes up.
Wormhole!
Oh, let's hear it.
It's not really wormhole as much as like just a narrative convenience. Keith, if I need to tell you a secret, right, I generally I walk up and be like, hey, Keith, can I talk to you for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Or like send you a text or something. She runs onto the bridge and shouts at the top of her lungs. She's like, I gotta talk to you! And everybody's like, oh! And she's like, in private. That's some BS. That's like the, hey, I heard something, but I can't tell you. That's the same level of, that's some bullshit.
Yes, 100%. That is someone who likes the drama.
Yeah.
100%. So she has figured out a way to beam stuff through the wormhole. That's a really exciting idea. And they have a bit of a warp particle reprise, with the two of them doing science together. I enjoyed that. And Janeway says, go, don't worry about keeping it secret, you won't be able to anyway. Use whatever you gotta use. So in sickbay, Kes comes in to talk to the doctor, and she has already done all of her homework. And she says, I enjoyed studying anatomy. It would be interesting to see an autopsy sometime.
Pop goes the goose.
Yep. Hey, look, I ain't gonna yuck your yum. And there is a hint of a little bit of being unhinged in her line reading there that I loved, and I wish they had explored more and leaned into.
This whole scene is just so crazy.
Like, it's just, go back and watch her line. I enjoyed studying anatomy.
Yeah, it was.
It would be
and then she's
interesting
like,
to see an autopsy sometime.
no, I'm gonna tell you. I tell you why it felt that way to me. Remember the last time you saw? It's almost an identical scene. We're inside the nebula. I've never been inside a nebula before. And then she like wants to bone Neelix.
Right?
And then here she's like, I love reading science books. And then she's like trying to make out with the hologram.
Makes her amorous, I'm saying. But I wish that they had leaned more into that and let her be a little bit unhinged. That would have been really fun.
I think they knew the anatomy line. I think that they know how close they're towing the line, and I think they're not trying to push anything.
Yeah, I just mean like as the character moves forward. So
that she's just like a weird like.
I love if she was weird as hell. That would be so much
into,
fun.
she's like just like nerd smut.
Whatever it is, like that would be really fun. So the doctor finds out that she has an eidetic memory, and she tells him they might be able, and then she tells him, oh, by the way, we might be able to beam back to the Alpha Quadrant. And nobody, of course, told him. And to her, it's good news, though. Two questions. First question is,
yeah, where's she gonna go?
Would she and Neelix want to go?
Yeah,
Because
what are they doing on here?
She gives it the same level of excitement that like the crew would.
Yeah, imagine how much water is over there, bro. Right? Are we still on that kick?
I think we solved that.
Okay.
But it is like, would they want to go? I don't know. I mean, at this point, they've only been there for like a month.
Yo, here's where the season 1 pops in, or the episode 1 pops in. Notice that a completely different wig is on right now.
Oh, or at least it's styled differently.
No, that's a different wig. That's between cuts. See
Yeah,
how it's
her
long in the
side-
back, and now it's short and cropped. It's just a totally different wig. See how it's falling on the ears?
Yeah,
Entirely
because it
different.
goes down
Yep.
below the collar.
That's the same scene. So they were filmed in different days.
Interesting. Yeah, no, you're 100%. I was wondering if it was like the angle or something, but no, different wig. Huh? Wow, good eyes, Mike. Good eyes.
Oh, he looking.
So, mashed potatoes.
Oh man, it's over. We only made a 6 ep. We've seen every day of the show through, and this one got canceled after 6 eps.
That was crazy. So, obviously, what would she and Neelix do? Interesting question. But also think about what this means to the Doctor. Because them going home, he is fully integrated into the ship's system. Which means he can't be downloaded. He can't be moved. He can't even leave the sickbay. So them going home
He'd be orphaned out there.
is a death sentence. Or worse, he gets left on. And he says,
No, because she gave him the power to turn himself off, didn't she?
Not yet.
Oh, right, it's later.
And he says, if you do leave, before you go, would you check to make sure I've been deactivated? So, them going home is either a death sentence, or he's trapped in one room until the ship runs out of power.
He's like that dead Vorto we left up there, just bouncing in the wall.
Yeah. So, it's just not good news for the Doctor. And this is like, even though we're in an episode where we're going to start treating him like a person, we forgot. We forgot to treat him like a person and the consequences of this idea.
Well, getting home, listen, I'm sorry. Even if if there's only 6 seats in the rescue vehicle, then I guess we're picking 6 people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I know what the right way to handle that would be, but like it lands on him, and I think that that's an interesting sort of quick question that we don't really address that much. But of course, logically, right? They wouldn't leave him on because there's no way in heck they wouldn't destroy the ship on their way out. Because leaving this amount of technology in the other quadrant, like, utterly irresponsible. They can't do that.
I've got files downloading, and I was like, what are those sounds? Okay, I'm sorry. Are you hearing that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but his anxiety is understandable about being left on. So, on the bridge, Janeway explains the beaming idea to the Romulan, and he is shocked by their technical ability. They do a test, sending him a test cylinder. It works, and the gizmo arrives on the Romulan's desk.
Yeah, somebody was saying in the watch-along, and it makes sense, that's just a bank tube. You ever use the pneumatic bank tube?
Oh, sure, the pneumatic bank. Yeah, sure. With some lights in it. That's cool.
It is very cool, actually.
I'd love to. I mean, how cool would that look on the shelf as like its own
100%.
like light source as a prop? That'd be sweet. So anyway, Janeway wants to move straight away into human tests, but the Romulan says, "We can't have Starfleet on my Romulan ship. I'll beam to you, and if it works, I'll have a non-classified ship come over, and you can beam on to that." So they're ready for the test, and they have to deal with the mysterious phase variance. But the Romulan arrives in their transporter room from the Alpha Quadrant. What a huge technical achievement.
So, here's what I was thinking. I had a wormhole / I like my kind of thought. So, either way, I can't... If he really is as paranoid as he probably should be, totally you don't want to let them beam over to your ship, because then you're just basically inviting a what do you call it? A
spy on. Well, it's his ship. He's not a cargo ship. He's designed like highly classified.
Right. So, but you're inviting like invaders onto your ship. You're basically being like, or the vampire. You're like, come on in. But you're just as vulnerable going over there.
Well, he is personally vulnerable.
Right.
But he is not risking classified material. This is back in 1995 where we cared about.
Right.
We weren't showing the highest level secrets
still,
on a golf course.
I think the risk reward of it is still, because he still is aside from like humanity, I don't think he gains anything by helping them, but he's on a science vessel, and we've already kind of played with the ideas with Kes of how exciting and motivating science can be, and learning.
He's a scientist.
He's like, damn, if it's true and I can be a part of this interdimension or interquadrant wormholing thing, I kind of got to do it.
I mean, think about the first people going up into space.
Right.
What a stupid risk to do, but like, you got to, right?
I would call it the Jurassic Park principle. Yeah, dinosaurs are scary, but I gotta tell you, man, I might get a ticket.
I kind of get it. I kind of gotta go see it.
That like rolly ball is made of glass, and it feels not very safe, but maybe I would do it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course he would go. So in Act 4, he's stunned that it works, and Janeway says, "Start the evacuation procedures." But then Tuvok hits us with what the phase variance is. The Romulan is from 20 years in the
Keith.
past.
This is a guy who's going to Broadway. He got the call back, baby.
It's the Harry Kim hole.
Woo! They
but,
gave me sides, Mom. I mean, I'm definitely gonna get it.
Oh, 100%. 100. All I have to do is go through the dance call. I'm gonna totally nail that.
There was a show, I'll just, for those who don't know this and think it's like you audition and then you go to a callback and then you get the job. So spoiler alert, I did not get the job, but I was in callbacks for a show for close to 11 years. 11
A Broadway
years. Like, not like, no, you don't get it, but like, oh yeah, we're going to keep bringing it. We got it. Keep coming back, keep coming. 11 years, 65 pounds, and all of my old dark hair. Did not get it in the end. Although, many people on the artistic team thought I did. Like, I get invited, Keith, to reunions, to different stuff, as if I did it. It's crazy town.
You just gotta go. You just gotta go.
I'll tell you an anecdote one time.
The greatest role you've ever played was, yeah, I was in that show.
Absolutely, yeah. When's the party?
So the Romulan is from 20 years in the past.
That's
now,
cool.
Super, super cool. Love the idea. Also, 20 years lands very differently when you're 15 than when you're 45.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because when I was 15, that is an impossible amount of time ago. That is like the Old West times. And now 20 years just doesn't seem like that long ago.
But correct me if I'm wrong, they're 70 years from home, right?
They're 70 years from home.
So they're
yes.
so 20 years still isn't even, it's still far away. Like, it's like, even if they were to be able to like backtrack 20 years, they're still, well, I guess if they go back in time 20 years, they're just adding 20 years. So now they're 90 years from home.
They're, they're an impossibly from home, right? Because you're
yeah, time, it's like, that's the thing. We are using their distance and then translating it to time, but here the focus is time, and so it kind of conflates a little bit.
Well, it's like you, but you can go home. You will just be in the wrong time.
Yeah.
And so, but my point being, it felt like from being from 20 years in the past, it was like the olden days, and now it's like things are stuff roughly the same. I'd make some different choices, but I was an adult 20 years ago, which is really hard to think about.
I thought the interesting thing was when they're kind of weighing it is Harry's the one who's like, well, let's just go. I mean, it's still a chance. 20 years is whatever. He's on the Keith of like, it's not that big of a difference. And there's like a myriad other problems with that we've established in science fiction lore with kind of breaking the time-space continuum. Yes. But the only one they kind of sit on is like, well, we've already done some shit that then we would undo.
Well, the temporal prime directive is the issue here. Because like I guess let's ask the question.
No.
If there were no temporal prime directive, right, and we weren't going to change the future by doing this, and you had the opportunity, let's say you don't even have, you're not even on the other side of the universe. If you had a chance to put yourself back in the past 20 years, would you do it?
To what end, though? That's the problem with with postulating it, because even in their specific unique circumstance, great, yes, the prime directive, their prime directive, is achieved in that state. If we go back, we are home. If getting home is the goal, that does achieve it. It's not so much that this is my point I guess I'm making, is that they say the biggest problem is that, well, the things we've done in the past, how long have they been gone? 6 months or so? Who knows? Yeah. Let's say 6 months, whatever. That would be wiped out. Well, isn't the bigger problem, if we go back 20 years, we collectively as a crew can affect time and space by changing shit as we go, by knowing the past?
No, and
it's the almanac. It's the sports almanac.
Yeah, and they absolutely address that. And like yes, you could go back and live 20 years ago and probably live perfectly fine, but you would have to live on the top of a mountain and have no communication in order to not screw up the universe. And so And that's also why
It's
the
interesting
Romulan agrees
that
to
they yada yada
keep
this
secret.
beat. It's so short, the decision not to do it. But I guess they're using the shortcut of we've explored this in copious amount of times throughout space, science fiction,
by this
movies.
point, Starfleet, we've had so many time travel shenanigans that there are some hard rules about time travel. Like it's not a conceptual thing. They're real rules, and like it's black and white what you're allowed to do with time travel. But also, again, they couldn't reunite with their families.
Right. That's
They
right. So
couldn't-
what are they
like all
really
the things
achieving?
all the things that they want, they can't have. They're just on Earth, but they can't do any of the things that actually matter. They can't continue their lives. They can't reunite with their families.
Remind me, I'm sure it's in your write-up. What is it when they say the words of like, well, couldn't we send, when you go back, couldn't you warn us to not, that was his idea.
Oh,
He's
yes.
like, yeah, because this was an interesting point on his part.
Yes, that was his. So two choices. One, do we go back? Right. We take that off the table for all the reasons we just said. Then he proposes, what if I warn you not to go on the mission?
And
that is
what,
the
yes.
part where it's like, no, we've had too much of an effect on this universe.
We don't want to
that
mess up
that-
Neelix's life.
it would just whether you're breaking the temporal prime directive by 10 minutes or a month or 10 years or 1,000 years, the rule is the rule. But yeah, that's a tough sacrifice. But also, none of them would know each other, right? The
Right.
Maquis would still be the Maquis. It's like, it would change a lot, and they do have some things to protect here in their new lives. So, because, as Chakotay says, nope. So Janeway goes back to the original request. What about in 20 years, when the time has elapsed, send our messages to our families? So that way, your families and the Federation will know immediately what happened and where you are. That doesn't break anything. And so that seems like a fair deal. So the Romulan agrees to transmit them at the proper time. And he says, hey, if you get back, look me up. And Janeway says, I promise you'll hear from us, because we will get back. Not a promise she can keep, as it turns out. So in the transporter room, they give him the messages, and the Romulan beams back to his time and quadrant. And Janeway says, great, I'm going to tell the crew the families got your messages in their time, and which would happen instantly. But Tuvok is just dropping bad news on us right, left. He checked the database. This Romulan died 4 years ago, before he was supposed to send the messages.
Which they absolutely could have checked previously, right?
Well, he did. I don't think we knew his name until just then.
Okay.
Because he didn't say who he was.
We hadn't exchanged emails.
He very specifically says his name when he's on
Right.
Voyager.
Yes.
Which is when he looks it up. So, and Torres makes a good point. Maybe he left a will telling someone else to transmit the messages. Or he could have given our computer chip to the Romulan government. And Tuvok says, it's impossible. It is possible. Unfortunately, there's no way to know. And there is no way to know. So at this point in the series, we don't know if they ever got there. And Janeway says, then let's move on. We've got a long way to go.
Right. I'm trying to think, could they have put a message in? Because they would have found out still after they had left. That's why the math works, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the agreement was to let
40
them
years,
know to let them know after they had left. So probably the only way to actually not break the temporal prime directive would be to give the messages on the date that this is happening. So not right after they left on the mission, but on this particular date.
Right. And then the day before they leave on the ship, Romulans secretly implant a message to be read by the computer 6 months later to be like, yo, message is delivered, wink and nod.
Ooh, that would be good. That would be good. And I love Janeway's then let's move on.
Yep.
You know, and like that's some really good captaining, you know, knowing that she's swallowing the disappointment as well. Lastly, in the sickbay, the same asshole redshirt has injured himself again and is ignoring the doctor again. But this time the doctor puts him in his place. Lieutenant, I am the chief medical officer of this ship. If you have something to say to me, please direct the statement to me. And then the guy says, and he says, I'm not telling you not to work out. I'm suggesting use a modicum of common sense when you do it. If I see you here again for an exercise-related injury, I will have to discuss the matter with your superior officer. And the redshirt says, yes, sir.
Damn.
The sir there obviously weighs heavily. And lastly, the EMH goes to Kess and says, Captain Janeway has made me realize that I must function as more than an emergency medical replacement. I must think of myself as a member of the crew. And then asks her for a name. And that is Eye of the Needle.
For distinguished achievement and unintended consequences, Keith and Mike present the Salamaremmies! Tiny baby puppies and salamanders, leaving little orphans across the universe. Welcome to the Salamaremmies!
Okay, here we are. Yeah, that's a whole thing. I keep forgetting. And it's time for our first segment. It's the rewrite. Mike, if you wanted to rewrite something in this episode, what would it be?
I just think I would edit out the part where we think we can beam home. I think they were able to really pace and build the tension and how great it would be to send the message home. And I think the sort of like where you can almost beam back and then it doesn't go our way sort of blows those stakes up a little bit. So maybe I'm trying to wonder if it helps the episode at all.
Well, I'll tell you two things. I think the concept of plot armor, right, is a little unfair to the show, right? Because you're stepping outside of the story of the show. Just because we know, but we don't know in 1995 that, you know, and there were discussions from the producers, like, what if we hate this, right? That what if this concept isn't working? We'll get them back. And that was part of the reason that they had two caretakers, was so they could bail on this premise and get us back to the Alpha Quadrant. So we didn't necessarily know in 1995 that we would stay here. They already had an ejector seat.
Well, Mike doesn't know either, to be honest with you. So
Mike doesn't know either. And on top of that, the beaming technology is what allows us to get the Romulan to us and have the face-to-face scene. So it served a purpose beyond a bait and switch, like, you know, a concept that we could never have. And I think it also adds to the depth of the Doctor story of, if you do this, what happens to me, as he's, you know, like, you asked me to be a crew member and then you're gonna abandon me? And so I think it adds the weight there as well.
Yeah. It's funny, it didn't actually bother me. I'm not sure that it does bother me, but JD, I'm pretty sure it was JD that was the one who was like, it neuters the episode, but when you know the premise is not, like, tenable. And so it's kind of been on my mind a bit, and that's...
I think it's a secondary idea. The episode is about, can we get a message across? And that was like a little bonus idea, which sets up all of those other concepts.
Okay. Well, you know what the best part about a rewrite is, Keith? Just like this bumper, you can scratch it out.
There it is. So, I mean, honestly, I think that all holds up really well for me. The only, I think, spoiler alert, I think this is a really solid episode. And so I don't have a lot of fixes for this. The only thing that I would do differently is I would punch up Cass's weirdness. Right? I would let her freak flag fly a little bit more. And, like, I love her compassion for the Doctor. I love this burgeoning relationship. I love the fact that she has an eidetic memory and she's able to learn and grow really fast. But I think, like, you have a chance to make this a much more seasoned character. She needs a little spice, needs a little seasoning, and if she's a weirdo who likes autopsies and is like, wants to, like, great. That's like, I would definitely, like, lean heavier into that in my rewrite. Let's do best moment, shall we?
Yeah, I guess it would, for me, spoiler alert, everything that happens with Janeway is, I love. I've yet to not like a Janeway beat. And close second is all the Doctor stuff. And so my best moment here is once again going to be Doctor stuff, because it's just feels like it's so solid. So yeah, I think the scene, you could pick the resolution or the setup, or there's like three main scenes, right? I think his initial vulnerability scene with Kes and her continuing to champion him is probably my best moment, even though you could make a great argument for either of the other two moments, which you might. So I'll say Dr. Kes when she's like, yo, I want to learn more and I need you to be more, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is the core piece of development, right? The Doctor's journey here. And I think you're right, Mulger has some amazing moments in here. But just for the sake of difference, I think that little scenelet between Kim and B'Elanna about their relationship with the people at home and what this all means. And I think that showing these two characters on opposite ends of their relationship with home, and home meaning a place, home meaning people, home meaning family, and giving some weight to not everybody feels the same way. And in a lot of ways, like in Next Gen, you don't really have estrangements quite at that level, and I think that adds a little seasoning to that scene, and that not everybody has a perfectly bland white guy and a puppy to go home to. I think that adds a little bit of, it's the salt that adds depth to the flavor of the episode, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's hand out some
Set
a new course. There's
Caffeinated Flirpolas.
in that nebula.
Caffeinated Flirpolas. Caffeinated Flirpolas. Caffeinated Flirpolas. Caffeinated Flirpolas. Caffeinated Flirpolas. Take what you want. Caffeinated Flirpolas.
arms, man.
Caffeinated Flirpolas. What do you get? Caffeinated Flirpolas.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a triumph. Why don't you go first? You are a little higher on this, so let's start there.
Okay. I think this is a really strong episode of the series. I do, and I think it is the first really good episode we've gotten so far.
Interesting.
I think it's the best we've had.
Wow.
And yeah, I do. I absolutely do. And I think that it is the science of it is fascinating, right? A collapsing wormhole, you set up a relay, you're able to communicate with the other quadrant, but because of the whatever's, you're out of sync with time. What a cool idea. I think having a Romulan be the person you stumble across, the most paranoid and suspicious of all the people you could run across, but also competent. I think that is having a legacy species comes in feels like a special episode because you're dealing with a Romulan. I think the emotional beats of connecting with that Romulan on I was going to say human, but that's sort of speciesist, right? On the personal level, and finding commonalities there, that feels very Trek. I think the performance of that is great. I think the hope and heartbreak that this episode holds in either hand, right? The risk, the emotional risk of this, of letting people know that we might be able to do this, I think is a really interesting dynamic there. Can we send the letters? Can we not? Or can we beam back? Can we not? Did it happen? Did it not? And getting your hopes up in a situation like this is dangerous. There's an element of danger to that as well. And so the hope and despair, right? We find this, no, we can't. We find this, no, we can't. We can do it this way, but it's not going to work. And then at the end, not knowing if we got the messages through is so great. I mean, it is heartbreaking, maybe, or hopeful, maybe. We don't really know. I think that so I love the science. I love the stakes of the situation. I love that the stakes are mainly personal, about the loneliness, about the desperation to tell mom I'm okay, right? Think about, okay, we live in New York City in the aftermath of 9/11, right? How many people on that day would have chewed off their own foot to get a text to mom that says I'm okay? Mm-hmm. And I think this is what this is about, right? And I think that's great. I love the Doctor beats. I think I forgot that this was a big part of the progression there. The giving the Doctor a tiny piece of autonomy, watching him consider autonomy for the first time in whatever existence that he has, I think is really meaningful. So I think that there's just not a scene here that doesn't push us forward, both in our larger storytelling, our personal storytelling. I think it's acted well. I think it's shot well. I think all of the scenes are well written. I think it's just a rock solid episode with a lot of premise, even if it, you think, oh, well, we reset and nothing really happened. Well, that's certainly not true for the Doctor. And I don't think it's true for the crew either. The prospect of getting that text out to your mom, whether it got through or it didn't get through, whether you believe that it did or you believe that it didn't, it's going to have a long-lasting consequence, because you don't know if you got the red on the text, but that's enormously consequential. And so you're going to have some people who believe that it did. You're going to have some people who believe that it didn't, but it's impactful either way. So heartbreaking, hopeful, pushing the characters forward. For me, it gets 90 caffeinated footballas.
So, yeah, I don't actually refute anything you say. But it feels less like I want to celebrate its rock solidness, and more like it feels a little bit tready watery to me. I agree with everything you said. I think the science of it is cool. I guess the promise of what you pitched to me, I would have loved to have seen. I didn't really see a lot of the people get their hopes up. We're going to get a message out. We're going to get to talk about, what will you say to your parents? I mean, we saw the scene with Kim and B'Elanna and stuff, but I would have loved
Kim represented that.
I understand that, but I would have loved to have seen it celebrate a little more, and then maybe see some of the potential fallout at the end. A lot of it was like presenting hypothetical stakes without really feeling them.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to add this to the rewrite segment. Yeah. I would love to see a montage of the whisper, whisper, whisper through the crew.
Sure. Or, what do you think B'Elanna was talking to the captain about? Like, there's...
Or just, I'd love to see people writing their letters home.
Yeah, right.
And then I would love to see those same people get the news that maybe didn't go through.
Or commit commit to one or the other. They didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't go through. Right.
Yeah.
He died.
No, I love the mystery. I would love to have the captain, see them listen, to hear the captain say exactly what happened. He died 4 years before. We do not know if he sent the messages in another fashion. And everybody who we met, who we watched them write the letters, some of them register that as hope, some as despair, and we just don't know.
Yeah, and I guess I found I mean, I love a time travel story, and I don't even need them to really make a ton of sense all the time. Like, I'm fine with shortcuts and whatnot. I just felt like I even like the twist of him dying, but that felt a little generic. Like, let's do something better. Like, the Romulans found out and they executed him, or like, give me some. I don't know. I'm just used to. I hate to do this. This is probably the first time I've done it in the series yet. I'm used to Deep Space Nine just hitting harder a little bit. This felt a little kid glovey with the whole of it. That all said, sounds like I'm negative on that. I thought it was very good. I love the Janeway stuff. I love the Doctor stuff. The Kim stuff. Like I said, I really love Harry Kim, and seeing him sort of have his first kind of big moment and it go okay feels very.
Yeah,
I'm seen there.
Yeah, well, there you go.
You mean I had a good audition. I had Taco Bell after, and then nobody called me? That sounds about right. Yeah.
But you did have a hairy hole.
I did. It was Harry. I got an agent because of that, actually. That's a joke for you, Keith.
Yeah.
Oh
God.
Let it simmer a little too long. Okay. Anyway, I don't know that it's a 90 for me, but I would say it's still a solid 78.
Wow. That puts it your second lowest of the entire run.
But I've been pretty high on them, so.
Yeah, there it is. Okay,
hey, if
folks.
we float at 78 the whole time, I'd be okay with that. That's a good show. It's worth your watch.
Right. Folks, how many caffeinated flirbolas do you give Eye of the Needle? So in the internets, highest rated episode we've seen so far at an 8.2, putting this as 20 out of 168. The internet agrees with me, not with you, sir.
All right, well.
But who knows? Like maybe it's I bet this episode lands heavier if you've seen the whole series.
Yeah, well, I guess there's no way for me to say. I don't know.
Interesting. Well, maybe we'll go back and ask again in a few 6 years when we're done this episode. So next week, ex post facto, we're gonna see what happens. Thank you so much for watching, Mike. Thanks for putting up with all this.
I can't wait. Thank you for the 2 hours of post.
Thank you for eating that sloppy Joe so fast. Fast.
3 hours of post.
Oh, so much fun.
Oh, Sean!
No, Sean hasn't watched this one yet. He thought he had, but he didn't.
All right. Well, we'll berate him next week.
Yes, but next week we're doing. Oh yeah. So next week we're going to do our next interview with my brother Sean, who did sound effects for this very series. So leave your questions in the comments below on the Patreon feed or on Discord. I will try to assemble all of those disparate sources of questions for Sean, of which we already have numerous. So that'll be, and that the interview will be on patreon.com/KNM.
In its entirety.
In its entirety. We may slick a little.
Yeah, we sometimes clip some things in here.
We'll clip some things in the next episode, but it'll be fun. All right, we'll see you back here next week with Ex Post Facto. Till then, this has been Keith and Mike. Watch Star Trek Voyager. Thank you so much for watching K&M Entertainment. If you enjoyed our particular brand of nonsense, like and subscribe. Or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/KNM. Spell out that and.
Can you figure out a way to get me through the hole?
You don't want to come through this hole? Are you kidding me?
Saying, Keith, keep rolling, don't you stop me, please. While he's fighting for his life with extra sloppy meat. Oh, my, seen sloppy Joe.